Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good.
Good. If you want to put I don't know if you want to put Brooke and I on as a host, that might help so we can share the screen.
Yeah. Let's see.
She's going to be really the driver. I'm not that. She's much more technically competent. Oh, I can't believe I just said that.
You know what? So speaking of technical competency, I don't know how to do that, but I don't think we've locked it down in our room. So
Okay.
if you want to hit the share screen button and just see if it works for you.
Okay. I'll see if when Brooke joins in here,
Okay.
if she can do it.
Yeah.
She's multitasking right now, so give her just a second.
Well, hey, congratulations on your successful COVID haircut.
Oh, you like that?
Hey, it's looking good. Looking good. I've seen a lot of not so good.
20 years of military practice, kind of. Well, I couldn't have it quite this long in the front. However, we made it work.
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more men with the same haircut, right? It's number 2 or number 3 all the way across.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think my son came home like last week and visited, and he just went with the clippers on like a 1 and just did the entire buzz. Like,
yeah. Huh.
I was like, I can't quite do that. However, I thought I might have to because one of my other kids had borrowed my set, and it came back with some missing pieces, let's say. Yep. So it's like I have a 1 guard, a 3 guard, a 4 guard. I don't have the ones I need. All right, so Brooke's coming in her office area so she can test out the share feature.
Awesome. Hi, Brooke. I'm Anna.
You're on mute.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi, good to meet you.
You as well.
So I was telling Mike, I don't exactly know how to make you a host, but I think you should be able to share your screen still. So if you want to try it.
It looks like I can.
Cool.
Just don't, oh, my entire screen. Cool. I'll just give it a sec before I share it so that we can people can see our faces first.
Perfect.
You guys getting a decent bit of snow in Denver?
Yeah, it's snowing.
Okay. A little bit pummeled up here. I think we got
Yep.
We got a lot more than I was expecting. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, however long it was snowing for. We really got a fair amount. So this seems to be lighter, and I was just looking a couple of minutes ago and it actually seems to have stopped, but you know how that is. It'll stop for a moment and then it starts right back up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty steady here since about 8 o'clock last night. So
okay.
I almost want to say this feels like it's the most we've gotten at once for this entire winter season, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just not sticking as well on the roads, which is a good thing. So
yeah, I love those spring storms where it all comes down and then like the next day it's gone.
So yeah, I figured we'll just give it a couple minutes as usual with these Zoom meetings and get a few more people on, and then we'll take off if that's okay.
Awesome. Absolutely.
I was going to be fancy and change my background with Zoom, but I'm afraid if I try to exhibit my technical skills, I'll blow everybody up off the meeting. So
my wall color is too similar to my hair and skin color, I think. So I end up being translucent person, I just get covered by background. It's great.
She's
Yeah.
got the background going on. Crystal might have it. I don't know. Crystal, is that your office or is that a background?
I wish this was my office.
It's funny, you can always tell the backgrounds because everything seems to be like so perfect and
Yeah.
so organized, and you're like, wow, that person's either really got it going on or it's a background.
And then your hand gets cut off when you move it into the screen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, before we get started here, just a couple of housekeeping reminders. You are able to mute and unmute yourself. If you have a lot of background noise, we may end up muting everybody. So just please keep that in mind. And feel free to turn on your camera. I don't know about you, but it's been a really long time since I've got to make eye contact with anyone other than the people in my house. And it does me a world of good to get those endorphins running and actually feel like we're connecting. So if you want to have eye contact with me, then turn on your camera and we'll share some meaningful eye contact and we'll have a lot of fun. And I'm sure that Brooke and Mike are going to really get a lot of energy from being able to see and feel and hear you, because teaching in a Zoom room is very different than being real life.
Yes, thank you for that. We love feeding off people for our trainings and our classes, for the interaction. Somebody just said maybe next time when they're showered, they'll share their screen. So
Hey, I don't embarrass easily. So
is this actually Paul and Donna's?
Yeah.
Are you in relation for Lindsay? Okay,
it is.
cool,
It is.
nice. Hey, Lindsay, I think we met on an airplane once.
Cool. Yeah. So thank you guys for attending. I really appreciate it. We'll try to bring some energy around this. I do agree. I like the facial interaction. I'm so much, I enjoy teaching more face-to-face because I get to see that interaction, yet obviously we're in this virtual world, so I get it. So with that, please use the chat as much as you wish. If you have a question that you'd like to come on verbally, just put it in the chat like, hey, I'd like to ask a verbal question or something. Brooke will be watching through those things. If not, Brooke can pause us, and if you type in your question, we'll certainly bring that forward to the group. I think just general housekeeping, we're a really laid back group up here. We're up in northern Colorado, so you can totally get a feel for us. We'll try to keep it, since it's recording, within the lines. We'll invite us back in the future.
HR is like a gray area for us, so.
I don't know about that.
Cool, I'm gonna go ahead and just share my screen quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of going to go over some of the objectives of today. What you're going to find from us is we're like going to cover like lots of topics at kind of a high level, yet we could dig into each of those topics like for a day. So just bear with us. We're not going to go into the depths of every one of those. However, should you wish to want us to elaborate, we'll probably elaborate for a little while, yet we want to make sure we get through the majority of the content as well. So we might push back a little bit to go like, hey, we can set up some outside time. I'm a totally open guy. If you guys have a need or a desire to want to talk about any of these topics outside of just the session that we have today, please let us know. We'll be happy to put that in our schedule and make that happen. So from my perspective, and Brooke, again, thank you very much for attending today's session. Brooke, do you have anything you want to add in?
I think obviously there's a lot of differences going on in your business with COVID-19 happening in the world. So this training is not necessarily geared towards what it would look like during a COVID-19 situation. Just know that we're going to give some time at the end of this training for any open-ended questions. If anybody has questions about what our team is doing, considering the situation that we're in right now. So also keep that in mind as well, but we'll try and relate some of the things to what we're doing right now during this time that's specific to COVID as well.
Okay, so let me just throw a little interaction piece into the chat. I ad hoc, and I make Brooke nervous when I start ad hocing, so just on the fly, if you would mind putting in your chat, if you're less than 3 years in the business, just say me or I or something like that. Less than 3 years in the business.
Got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, fair enough. And I could have speaker view and see how many are gallery view. Let's see how many people we got on. Maybe 15, 20, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep, 22.
Okay, cool. Okay, so all right, thanks for that. That just helps me understand our audience a little bit better here. So we will cover everything from kind of some basic concepts to some more advanced like team and expansion type concepts, if you will. Like I said, just feel free to jump in. Brooke will be watching the chat. I don't know that I can multitask that effectively, so I'm gonna stick with just talking and trying to stay within the lines. So today we want to kind of go through some of our objectives at a high level just to see what you guys have signed up for today. And then we'll go into a little bit about who we are and our roles and kind of who we are as a team and an organization. So for today, we've thankfully reached the pinnacle of about $1 million in GCI last year. So that was our 6th year of business. So we'll talk a little bit about how we were able to obtain that and share some opportunities for you guys to put into your business that could help you get to that. A lot of the basics of running and knowing your business, making your business more efficient. That's what we see a lot of times, especially with high producing agents, is the business runs them. They don't run the business so well. So we want to get people started really good foundationally, because when you're a newer agent, you're like, I just want success. I want a lot of business. All of a sudden you get a lot of business. And if you didn't build a strong foundation, you kind of wish you don't have that much business because the business is running you, right? And I see both sides of that spectrum. A lot about accountability. I'm a big accountability guy, so we'll talk about that. We'll move into some of the more advanced, like when do I hire an EA? Should I hire an EA? Should I hire a TC? Hey, I have a buyer's agent that wants to join my team. What should I do, right? All of those kind of things. We'll talk about that. And then just continue to collaborate and share the knowledge with everybody. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, different producers, different levels of expertise from maybe their previous career fields, things of that nature. So we want this to be as collaborative as possible. Brooke, you have anything you want to add to that?
Just that we did get another chat. So we do have a mix in here of less than 3 years, over 3 years, but I think majority less than 3 years, okay. Which all of this will pertain to both sections as well, and levels of experience, so no issues there. And as far as objectives go, yes, this is what we have planned to teach. We are pretty good at kind of going off flying by the seat of our pants. So if you guys want to put in the chat box anything that you came into this training wanting to get out of it, we're happy to get more granular into that as well. We do have kind of a larger picture of everything that we want to cover. But if there's certain areas and topics that you want to spend more time on, just put that in the chat while we're giving an overview of kind of our team and where our team started and where we are now, and what those steps look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is probably your 150th Zoom call in 3 weeks. So we appreciate and get that concept. So we want to make sure that you guys get something out of this. And just like any other training, we're going to cover a lot of content. If you just take 1 or 2 nuggets out of this, I feel like our time will be well spent with you, okay? And I have no problem sharing the slide deck, and we can get with Anna so people want to do it. I might just need to get an extra set of eyes on it to make sure what we're sharing is all above the opportunities. So, okay, cool. So if you want to put in the chat anything else that you want to make sure you get out of this, we'd be happy to make sure we cover that. Probably spend about an hour, hour and a half just going through the content, and then we will open it up for Q&A. However, please, anytime throughout this, we're pretty easygoing. Type up an answer, type up a question, raise your hand, whatever you want to do, and we'll jump in. All right, so real just quick, it doesn't need to be a lot about me. It really is just more about showing you the history of things. So for me, I came from an IBM background of 19 years. I did 20 years in the Air Force Reserve, so Air National Guard. So understand, I share that information because I feel like my project management skills and my process background was pretty strong. So I was a very strong process guy and also just kind of a disciplined, regimented guy, if you will. 9 months, it took me 9 months to get my first closing. I am not a success factor like a lot of them when it came to my first few months in the business, and look at all these opportunities that I had. It really didn't. However, I believed in what I was building with the help of KW and the training and the systems, that if I just stuck to it, it would happen. And what ended up happening is after the 9th month of no business, I really was close to hanging it up. I was blessed to have my wife and my OP and my team lead tell me what I was building was going to work. I just had to keep at it. And unfortunately, we were able to pull 1 or 2 deals every month after that. And then we eventually got to that hockey stick effect that Gary talks about with the acceleration curve, where we just kind of skyrocketed. So a little bit, 28 units, 38 units, 48 units, blah, 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 up to 100 plus units. I think we were 108 units last year in 2019. And I was blessed to be able to achieve a MAPS coach status. So we do some MAPS coaching off to the side as well. 2014, here's kind of how the team was built. I did add a TC in 2014. It was my wife, so it was an awesome cost leverage for me because it didn't cost me any money.
Not for her.
It probably caused us both some more gray hairs. However, she did a great job helping me build the systems and the processes. Brooke, will you go back a slide for 1 second? So you can see in 2014, we were right around 28 units. So I'll tie that together in the conversation later about when is the right time to maybe look at a transaction coordinator, an executive assistant, so on and so forth. All right, next slide, please. So we added our first buyer's agent in 2015. Our first buyer's agent did 23 deals. And then I had my son join me at 18, 19, straight out of kind of 1 year of college. And I said, don't quit college. I'm an old school thinker. He said, yep, I'm quitting. I said, all right, well, let's go full bore. And I think he did like 37 deals in the next slide in his first 16 months with the team. So all that's just to say, we built a lot of systems. We followed KW advice, and we held our team accountable to those standards, and they produced at really good levels, right? 23 to 37 deals. So that's not about us. That's about just following the systems and following the models is really the story I want to tell in today's session. So then we started growing. We added this gal by the name of Brooke as a TC that was my wife. I'm not sure which one gave me more grief. However,
let's just say his wife and myself have the identical KPAs. So.
So now so you can see my business world in 2018, I have double the pain. However, my wife's now doing the books, and Brooke was promoted to director of operations, about a year ago, something like that, even though you were probably doing that role for longer. So,
yep.
Okay, cool. Exactly. So I think in 2018, we were up to 10 agents, a transaction coordinator, a bookkeeper, which is my wife. We made our first expansion location in 2018, and then we expanded last year into Denver and the Wheat Ridge markets. And of course, we were thankful to earn $1 million. And then we added a director of lead gen department. So we do have an ISA department right now. So we can talk through some of those things if you wish to as well. All right. Hopefully that's enough about the team.
Yep. And it doesn't look like anybody added anything in the chat. So if there is a spot or a topic that we're going over and you do want us to spend more time on it while we're in it, just put that in the chat and we'd be happy to do that.
Okay, so kind of our first topic, Brooke, you want to cover that?
Just more or less some leading questions. So if you're someone that wants to earn $1 million by year 5 or less, and by doubling your business, not working 80 hours a week, finding leverage, having dreams of running a team, or even if you're new and you just want to learn how to get up and run faster, this is the class for you. This is what it's geared for, to help you be more successful and while working less than you are right now through leverage. And a little Joe Dirt from Mike in here.
There we go. So you see my little attempt at humor throughout this presentation.
Yeah.
All right, so on our mental game, Brooke and I will bounce back and forth on this. So again, it's like life. Business is like life a little bit, that it's not always peaches and cream, right? Ice cream. So for us, it's really about never quitting. And I kind of talked a little bit about, my first 9 months, I struggled. I really did. However, I believed in what I was building. Yet even then, my mindset, as tough as I felt like I was, as disciplined as I was in the military, it still challenged me at month 9. I was like, man, I'm hemorrhaging. I'm not making any money. I'm struggling. And, it took the support of others who were successful. Not so much my wife was more of a spousal support, yet my OP and my team lead were like, just give it more time, keep doing the activities. And absolutely, thankful for them, and they were able to keep us going. So, you know, one of the quotes I like from Bear Bryant was, never quit. It's the easiest cop out in the world. Set a goal and don't quit until you attain it. When you do attain it, set another goal. Don't quit until you reach it. Never quit. And I think that what's important in that quote is, when you attain it, guess what that becomes? That becomes your new floor. So if I'm able to get 3 deals in a month, guess what I should expect myself to do every month from there on out is at least 3. Now I'm shooting for 4, right? And we're continually this mental state of growth versus decline. All right, Brooke, you want to talk a little bit about the highly successful agent charts and our career growth charts that we'd like to take you guys through?
Yep. So really the highly successful agent, this document is basically stating whatever you set your goal for, the activities that you're completing need to meet that goal. It sounds very simple, but it's complex in the way that your goals are set up. And even if you have the 5-year goals, what's that look like? What are the activities you need to do today to meet that 5-year goal? So basically, if you have goals based on a 40-hour work week, you need to work 40 hours to hit those goals. You need to know exactly what you need to do for lead generation and what avenues that you're going to focus on, staying in constant contact and in front of your database, making sure that you have the calendar to win the day by noon. Know your numbers and use a coach or a mentor, whatever that looks like in your world, whether that's a MAPS coach, productivity coach, the team lead or OP of your market center like Mike had when he had first started. So just keeping all of those things in mind when you're setting the goal. Don't set a goal that is, I love stretch goals, but they shouldn't be to a point where you know you're not going to do the activities to meet those goals. Make it a stretch goal that's still realistic in the activities you need to do to make that happen in order to make you a highly successful agent. And then in addition to that, we absolutely love this chart. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this yet. This is a chart that we bring out in our recruiting appointments with new agents who are recently licensed, experienced agents, what have you. This is also a document that we bring out if we have an agent struggling with mindset and understanding what this process looks like. So if you let me move Mike really quick. If you look through this, it's like you're going through the road and the roadmap from step 1 to step 12. So you're licensed and you know nothing. You begin training and you fail forward. You're receiving leads and you're still failing forward. You're asking for the appointment, but nobody says yes. You're signing qualified clients, but expectations are unrealistic. Now you're signing the clients, but they can't qualify. Those sorts of things. And then it just continues on until you hit the consistently setting 10, holding 5, and signing 2.5 more clients or more clients each month. So really, we bring this chart out for our agents to see it's not all peaches and cream. It's hard. You have to fail forward. You have to work through every step on this list to end up hitting your goal that you want to hit. You're going to have to go through every single one of these. And I'm sure everybody on this call, whether you're less than 3 years in or over 3 years in, you've probably hit every single step on this mark, on this map.
And what I find interesting here is we've just got a shift, right? We got thrown a curveball in the last 30 to 45 days. This could level set, right? And what I'm a big believer in, listen, here's the deal, right? This is the time. I can't get more excited about this environment that we're in, and people call me crazy all the time, yet the playing field is being neutralized. Your big rainmakers are now having to work harder than they've ever had to work before, no different than the newer agents that have to work hard as well. Some people are going to sit on the sideline and rest this thing out. They're going to be the ones that don't get to experience that upward trajectory compared to those that are grinding right now. So I, as a coach of a newer agent, this is a pinnacle time. You haven't seen this opportunity in the last 8 to 10 years. It's exciting for me because this is a way for you to project and propel your business drastically faster in the coming 6 to 12 months. So take that for what it's worth, but it's exciting to me.
Yep. And like you said, I mean, with the shift happening right now, and Anna put in the chat that sometimes you even go back and forth on the road. So right now, if you're the person that said you're more than 3 years in, you might be back on stage number 6 where you were at 12 because the shift happened. So knowing where you are. And Gwen, thank you for your comment. When you see where you are, it's encouraging. So when I stated that we bring this out for our agents that are 2 years in on the team and they just are having a lull period, and we just bring this out and say, identify where you are, pinpoint where you are. Cool, that's awesome. You're through 1 through 7 and you're on 8. You've only got 4 more spots to hit. And then you're back on track. So definitely a way to encourage and keep that momentum for yourself and agents on your team if you have one or you're looking to build one in the future.
Yeah, and I've never really looked at it from this perspective, so I'm kind of spitballing here, but you will never always go back to 1. I mean, you're obviously licensed and you know something at some point in time, right? So even if you tip back, depending on where you're in your career, you might just fall back to 7, you might fall back to 8, but you're never going to go all the way back to 1. So that's kind of an interesting analysis here. As this market shifts, we're going to have to double our lead gen, and we're going to have to obviously find more qualified buyers and sellers, right? So we're going to have more people that don't qualify. We're going to have more people that are not motivated and are sitting on the sidelines, right? So.
Awesome. All right, so mindset is a foundation to building a team, starting a team, even just for yourself if you want to be an independent agent. I'd say the top 2 things for foundation is your mindset or mental game, and then next would be calendaring. So taking it from the perspective of, again, calendaring is something that a lot of people see as very, very simple and easy. It's easy if you're just putting things on your calendar just to make it look pretty and fill it out and have it completed for a box to check off. But ultimately, the hardest thing is actually following your calendar, filling it in every day, looking at your calendar every week and reassessing the reoccurring meetings that you have on there. The calendar can look pretty, but it only works if you follow and abide by the calendar. And if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. If you erase, you must replace. So for those of you who have taken bold and things like that, you've heard this. It's probably been drilled into your head. It's not, oh, I didn't get to this activity that was on my calendar today. Cool, you're adding it to tomorrow. And you're going to work harder tomorrow to hit the goals that you set up on your calendar. And
yeah, so what Gary talks a lot about too, right, is the 4 thieves in his One Thing book, right? And one of those thieves is the wrong environment. The other thief is like energy and, being ready to go for the day. Another thief is the inability to say no, right? So these are kind of some of the things that you want to watch out for, and they're very true. I know agents in general are very helpful, service-oriented people. And they love to say, oh, I'd love to help you. I love to help you. Gary will tell you, he will say no more than he says yes by tenfold, right? And the reason he has to is because he wants to focus on his 20% every day. Brooke and I have an ongoing policy that's if we're in the office and one of our doors is closed, that means you don't bother me. That means I don't bother her. It's the same you see with your TLs, right? A lot of your TLs are busy trying to focus on their 20%, and they will put power hour and other things on the door. You have to build a bunker. And I know you hear these cliches and I know you hear these phrases all the time, yet you have to execute it, right? It's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to execute.
Definitely. Awesome. So let me move you really quick. Sorry. All right, their business.
Go back to the perfect schedule, would you? Did you have that one?
Oh yeah, I can do that.
Top producers daily schedule.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of show you an example of a top producer daily schedule. Maybe a little hard to read based on the format we have, but she can probably blow it up. It just might be a little grainy. So you want to kind of take them through. And again, everybody has a slightly different version of a schedule. However, my encouragement to you is every night, just like Gary does before you go to bed, you put your 20% down on paper. I don't care about anything else. Only your 20% goes on your paper and you don't move forward with it. And guess what? In today's environment, likely your 20% is lead generation, lead generation, lead generation, and lead generation. Cool. So this is going to kind of cover through some of that. So go for it, Brooke.
Continue through. Sorry, I'm looking at the chats.
Oh, you're good. No worries. So obviously what we're kind of looking at is, lead prep, kind of come in. Don't start your lead gen time like I'm lead generating, but I'm putting my phone numbers and my list together, right? Have those things ready to go before you come in and start your lead gen hour. There's others that will do affirmations. There's others that will do scripts before they jump on. There's others that will just, there's a myriad of ways you can get yourself prepared before you start your lead generation. Take it from there.
Okay, so then from the 8:30 to 11, or however that looks like for you, just making it at least that 2 to 3 hours in the environment we're in right now, just adjust that and double down. But for this purpose, roughly 2 to 3 hours of solid lead gen. I advise our agents on our team, don't just put a 9 to 12 block on your schedule, reoccurring Monday through Friday to lead gen. I want them going in every single day and putting 8 to 9, this is what I'm doing. I'm calling my database. From 10 to 11, I'm calling all of my commissions Inc. leads. From 11 to 12, I'm following up on all my open house leads from the weekend. So they're not just putting a 3-hour chunk and just saying, cool, I'm doing lead gen. I don't really know what that means or who I'm calling or what I'm supposed to be doing. If they break up their lead gen and get granular with the lead gen as well, I think that makes it very helpful. And makes it an even more efficient use of your time, because you literally are walking in and know exactly what you're doing and you know exactly what you're moving to at the top of the hour.
Yeah, what your smart goal is what I look at, right, is make it event-based time versus actual time. And what I mean by that is, like, our agents, we have them jump on an 8 a.m. huddle every day, and they have to give us a commitment. So what's your commitment for the day? And a lot of times it's 20 contacts or whatever the case may be. Perfect. Now they have an event-based schedule they can put together that says, cool, if I get 20 contacts in my first hour and a half on 3 hours, I'll just get more contacts. If I don't in 3 hours of lead gen, then that means I need to make it 4 hours. Maybe I need to make it 5 hours. However, I want to accomplish a goal, and my goal is not just I checked a box that I lead gen for 3 hours. What did I actually accomplish out of that 3 hours?
So we had an agent this morning on the commitment say that she wanted to set an appointment and get the agency signed. She then posted in our wins group for our internal communication and said, hey, dialed my first person and set an appointment. Knowing her, I know that she hit her goal and her commitment for the day. So theoretically, she could have stopped after 5 minutes of lead gen because she hit her goal. I know that she's not going to. But even if you hit that goal in 1 minute, that's fine. If it takes you 5 hours to hit the goal the next day, then you're still working that 5 hours. So making it a commitment. And then after your lead gen, you want to service your current business. So obviously you can't go 3 hours and then expect to have no emails, texts, phone calls to follow up with. So that's your time to do that. And then from about noon to 1, you have your lunch break. From 1 to 2, you're doing lead conversions. So you're doing your follow-up with potential buyer and listing leads. So mainly focusing on your nurtured leads. And then from 2 to 3, you're doing more business servicing. And then from 3 to 6, I usually like it from like 2 to 5. But usually that 2 to 5 or 3 to 6 time period is when real estate chaos happens and everyone and their mother is calling you because they need something. Or you're out setting appointments or having those appointments. Real estate kind of happens in the early evening, late afternoon for some reason in the chaos aspect. So you want to just leave that open for anything that just pops up, or you have your appointments during that time, or you're showing properties during that time, or you're attending closings during that time, that sort of thing. And then of course your family time. If you're not blocking and scheduling your family time, especially during this time, with everything happening with COVID, I would highly suggest that you do. That way you have higher focus during that family time if it is time blocked. That way you're not focusing on your business while you're trying to spend time with your family.
Right. And you got to train your clients. You train your clients by answering the phone at midnight. When you answer your phone at midnight, because everything's an emergency in real estate, not really, I say that jokingly, you're training them to call you and be accepting of calling you every time at midnight. And when you don't answer the next night at midnight, they get mad at you. Yep. So this schedule really helps you put together a schedule that says, look, I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Client, I understand you have a question and you'd like to talk with me from 6 to 7 tonight. However, I have family dinner And no other profession like real estate, do they allow people just to interrupt their schedules. You don't get to call the doctor and say, I want to see you now, because the doctor will laugh at you, right? Yep. So they trained us how to fit within a schedule. We should be doing the same with our clients as well.
So Kelly asked us a question, when in your schedule does an agent practice their skill sets, learning scripts and presentations? Great question, because your training isn't necessarily blocked out on this perfect schedule. I will tell you, for our team specifically, we have our agents get up, do the huddle at 8 from 8:15, and then from 8:15 until 11:30, they are doing lead gen. Whether that's social media, follow-ups, prospecting for new clients via internet leads, calling the database, those sorts of things. However they're breaking that up in whichever lead gen sources they've chosen. At 11:30 to 12 o'clock, we do a group scripts practice. And then currently with COVID-19 going on, we can't obviously show homes. There's not as much business happening. So we're implementing our team trainings and watching live streams and things like that in the afternoon. I would say if you're on a team, whenever your scripts practice is scheduled for, if you are an independent or you're on a team that doesn't have scripts practices and you want to do those, I would suggest it's kind of whatever works for you. I know that some teams will do their scripts practice early in the morning from 8 to 8:30 instead of after their lead gen time. So whichever prep you prefer, honestly, as long as you're getting that 2 to 3 hours of lead gen in. We even have agents that don't do lead gen from 9 to 12 or 8:30 to 11. They're doing it from 6 to 8 at night because they have a different schedule and they're part-time, or they have mom duties and things like that. So
yeah, something about flexibility.
Yeah.
Right? And the other myth I have with calendars sometimes is people overschedule their calendars and then they feel like they're a failure because they couldn't get it done. Get your lead gen in, that's that 20%, and then schedule around it, right? And that's the critical component, is you really want to document as much as your schedule as you can, yet if you over document, I think, especially as you're building confidence on how to really run an effective calendar, you can overwhelm yourself and you'll be like, nope, calendars don't work. There's too many things on my calendar. I missed half of them. I suck. Calendaring sucks. It doesn't work for me. No, that's not true. Just start in small increments and build on it and build those habits over time.
So Kelly said that they follow a similar schedule. Just 15 to 30 minutes isn't enough time to be proficient. I would say 30 minutes is enough time to be proficient if it's on a consistent basis. If you're running scripts 5 days a week for 30 minutes, I think that's beneficial. With our telemarketing department, our agents are reaching out and doing scripts more than 5 times a week for that 30 minutes. So I think for you specifically, Kelly, I think it'd be beneficial for you to continue attending those scripts with your team, obviously, but maybe reaching out to agents on your team or even in your market center and asking them to do scripts practices with you separately as well. And I would say the best time to do scripts specifically would be either right before you start lead gen or right after you end lead gen, so that you can kind of beforehand prep what your target is for that day. And if you do it after lead gen, you can kind of talk through some of the issues and objections you were just having. For training and skill set as a whole, I would probably say during this 3 to 6 time frame when you're not out doing showings or having appointments. You can kind of pencil that in as your 80%. Cool.
And some of this is about getting your time back, right? If you have time blocked out from 2 to 4 for appointments and you don't have an appointment, what are you doing from 2 to 4? Or you're like, yay, I have free time. I'm going to go paint my toenails and, do a COVID-19 haircut, right? Or are you putting time back into, right, your real estate business? So,
yeah, exactly. Cool. So moving on to more on the business planning side. And some of these quotes were kind of just to get your wheels turning and thinking a little bit. So really, with Mike, I like to explain this because Mike as the rainmaker and myself as the director of operations, we're kind of yin and yang. So he's the huge, big vision thinker, always has the ideas like 5 years ahead, and I'm the person like freaking out because I'm like, how is this going to affect everything else? Have you thought about all of these, like the domino effect on everything else that could happen because of doing this? It's important to have both ends of that stick, both the yin and yang in that, to complement each other. So vision is everything. If you don't have a vision and you don't have a goal, you won't create the activities to hit that goal and to hit that vision effectively and efficiently. So if you don't know where you're going, you will probably end up somewhere else. Shoot for the moon. Even if you'll miss, you'll land among the stars. And stop playing small. So the great danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. So that statement right there is probably one of my favorites. And we had Lance Loken on a call last week at our market center in Longmont, and he was stating he has like, what year goal? Is it like a 25-year goal or 15-year goal or something? He's got GPSs laid out for like 15 to 20 years, something like that, something ridiculous. He's not playing small. You can see that as the #1 team in Keller Williams. He doesn't think small. Vision is everything. He has the goals and the visions laid out for years down the road so that he knows what he needs to do today, even if it's something extremely small. He needs to accomplish that today to hit his 20-year goal. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with who Lance Loken is and what he does, but he has done this in such a short period of time and become successful in such a small period of time because of that last statement here and not playing small. He's aiming for very, very, very high goals, and he's going to achieve those because he's laying out that detailed plan to hit that. Anything else to add there, Mike?
Nope, I think that's perfect.
Cool. So kind of going more into the business planning and starting with your big picture and your big why and setting some of those goals. I'm going to open this someday goals document, Mike.
Yeah, like Gary says, begin with the end in mind, right? So this document's going to help you begin with the end in mind. And, you know, what you're going to have, right, are your someday goals. I mean, you define someday. Is that 60 years old? Is that 80 years old? Is that 10 years from now? Whatever it is in your world, you're going to have 5 someday goals and 5 business goals. Like for me, someday goals was donate $1 million to a charity. A someday goal was maybe I want to own a Learjet. A someday goal was 2 houses across the world, right, that I own. You know, just make them some great, big, massive, crazy goals. Remember, Gary will say you will overestimate what you'll do in 1 year and underestimate you do in 5 years. Think about someday goals. That's where the world I live in, and that's what excites me and drives me every day is what, but however, I can have this huge vision, yet if I don't work, like Brooke said, daily, yearly, and 5 year towards that goal, it's just a dream, right?
Awesome. So we'll share this document with you too. I would highly urge you guys just to kind of write down some someday goals, even if you think they're crazy. I took bold last year and wrote a letter to myself and had my whole like 5-year goal and things like that I thought was so unrealistic and not going to happen in my 5-year goal. And I have a feeling that it's going to happen in a year or 2 years. So again, you never know what's going to happen, as just put it on paper. Put it on paper, keep it in front of you, and see what happens.
You said a key word there. Keep it in front of you. See
Yes.
it, live it, breathe it, eat it, visualize it daily.
Put it as your background on your computer. That way, every day when you open it to go to work, you're looking at your someday goals.
Yep, or your phone, or anything.
Yep. And then kind of getting into more of knowing your numbers. So it's great to have this big picture, this big vision, these goals and things to do that, to have that. It's another thing to actually put those action items behind it. And I think those action items need to start with knowing your numbers. And that's in relation to anything. Even the team lead at your market center, they have metrics, conversion rates for recruiting. Just like you as an agent, you have metrics and marks to make and conversion rates to hit in order to become successful and earn that income that you're shooting for.
Yeah, so one thing I do, like when an agent wants to partner with us on our team, I go, cool, what's your goal? It's not a quota. It's not me telling you you should do 30 units. It's not me telling you any of that. It's what do you believe in? What do you want to accomplish? We're all at different levels of success are different for everybody, and it's not for us to judge. However, what I typically hear is, I want to make 100,000. Okay, that sounds like a pretty standard answer I hear from most agents when I ask them what they want to make. However, do you understand what it takes and the activities you must do to get to the 100,000? It's not for me to judge the 100,000. It's for me to help them realize and understand the efforts, or maybe they're undershooting their numbers, right? Yet you want to know as an agent, what exactly do I need to do? If I've got to get this much profit, and that's more important than actually GCI, to be honest with you, profit. You really want to look at, what do I want to profit after taxes, after expenses, after company dollars, all that stuff. You need to know your numbers, and then you break those down into a daily format to say, this is what I've got to do each and every day to be able to hit that 1 year and someday goal. Hopefully that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and for those of you who attended this class looking to potentially build your own team, make your first hire, things like that in those early stages, I think it's important for you to know that as that rainmaker in the making, you need to be tracking your individual and independent goal, conversion rates, your closed units, your GCI, your expenses, number of contacts made daily compared to the appointments that you're setting and the contacts you're making and the agencies you're getting signed. Yes, you have the industry standards, but that's not going to be hyper local data for you to use. I think it's a massive value to the agents that you're bringing on your team if you can give them statistics to put into their listing and their buyer presentations that are valid, and you have the evidence to back that up. So since I started, it was 2017 on the team, and when I started as a transaction coordinator, one of my tasks every single time we closed a deal was to go into the spreadsheet, add the past sale in there, add the days to offer, how many offers we got, how many showings we had, how many people through the open house for our listings, all of that information into the spreadsheet. And I can go back on there and look at a tab from 2013 when Mike started his business. I have all of that data back from 2013, and we continue to do that year over year. And that's immense value for the agents on our team who are brand new to real estate and recently licensed. They don't know what they don't know. And they're sometimes fearful of the fact that they don't have experience. So sitting in an appointment, being able to show that data to them is extremely important.
So let me ask a question, because I'm sure somebody's thinking it right now, is if we have to document all of these things on top of lead generating, on top of scripts, on top of everything, what would your advice be to how to kind of fit that in? I mean, yeah, great. Mike has a TC and a DOO. Of course, he can have them help. But if I'm a single agent, what would your advice be?
I would say to go back to the foundation. You need to obviously focus on your 20%, which is lead gen, but you should be focusing and putting some of that 80% into your calendar, and that 80% is working towards that 1 year goal. You shouldn't say, hey, I'm going to go hire a person tomorrow, or I'm going to go start a team tomorrow. Your first thought should be, I'm going to do this in 1 year. What are the tasks that I need to do today to get to that 1 year? And if that's just piecing away little by little each day on the documentation that you need to create, or job postings that you need to create to find that leverage to help you out, do little by little each day and create that goal plan for yourself so that you know the minor details that you need to do on a daily basis in order to hit that 1 year goal. Once you hit that mark, leverage is going to be your key piece. Your only job as the rainmaker trying to start a team with nobody on your team, admin, agent, whatever, that documentation that you have to create is just for that one hire. So keep telling yourself, I'm just doing this for one person so I can hire that one person to do it for everybody else. You want to do the job once and never take it back. That answer your question?
It did, thank you. You sound like you've done this before.
So what happens when you don't hit your numbers? So you have all these great conversion rates. You're like, cool, I need to set 4 appointments this month, and come 50% of the way through the month, you haven't hit the goal. What do? You don't just say, I'm going to forget about it and move on to the next month's goal. What our team does is implement the 15-day protocol. If you're not familiar with that, it is basically stating that if you should know what your annual goal is, and then through those conversion rates and knowing your numbers, you should be able to break that down into monthly goals and weekly goals through a 4 conversation. So with our team specifically, they get onto the team. We're like, cool, how much money do you want to make this year? Sweet, 100K, awesome. So we're going to plug that into our system. And you can do this on the CGI calculator through KW as well. We use a separate system, but it's basically the same thing. And so you should be able to break that into a month. And you're saying, cool, my 4 conversation numbers for this month is to have 4 appointments, 3 agencies signed, 2 closings, and $10,000 in GCI. That's the goal. If you're 50% of that goal by the 15th of the month, you should be implementing the 15-day protocol. That means that our agents are picking 1 item from list A, 1 item from list B, and 1 item from list C to complete in addition, let me repeat, in addition to what they normally do in a week's span. This is not to substitute any of the activities. This is to do in addition to what they normally do in order to get them back on track for their monthly goal. Now, with everything going on with COVID, I did want to share with you guys, because the 15th of the month was yesterday. If you're behind goal or you feel like you're behind goal, you could still implement that today if you want to. So we created a 15-day protocol, COVID-19 edition. So again, I can share this with you guys all if you want, but just some things that they can do virtually, like increasing their database health score, holding business-to-business appointments, doing Facebook Live videos, virtual open houses, things like that. So it's just tweaked a little bit, but same gist.
Yeah, and so the same thing here, right, is the greatest intentions are on paper, yet execution is the critical function. Everybody will say, yeah, I'm behind goal and I'm going to boost my second half efforts. And then we don't always do that, right? So having a plan and documenting and putting it in your calendar and really feeling good at the end of the day that you accomplished what you were set out to do is just very powerful in my world. So.
Yep, for sure. And then you want to determine your lead gen sources. So from our team specifically, as an example, we get a lot of new agents that join our team and they're like, cool, I want to do everything. I want to do open houses. I want to do business to business program. I want to work my database. I want to work internet leads. I want to work FSBOs and foreclosures and probates. And we're just like, that's awesome. But how are you going to do it all 10 of those lead gen sources at 100%? You're not going to be able to. So like you see on the screen, 72% of mega agents business comes from 3 sources, making one of those sources your database. That's the easiest and quickest way to get business, as long as you're working your database correctly, effectively, and efficiently, and knowing those conversion rates for each lead gen source that you have. So internet leads are going to have a different conversion rate than your database will, or contact rate. So just keeping that in mind and really focusing on choosing just those 2 to 3 sources to focus on.
So let me just make it a little interactive for a minute. Would you guys put in your chat box, what is your #1 focus? I don't care what the right answer is, right? What do you focus your lead gen on? What is your source? I know people will say database because that's the standard answer, and I agree with that. However, there are other opportunities there. So maybe just type in your lead source, your primary lead source.
We've got open houses. Thank you, Katie.
Cool. Door knocking, which will hopefully come back around. Cold calls.
Yep.
Cool.
Database.
Client events, that's good. Expireds and FSBOs, good.
It's a big mix out here. I like it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay. Thank you for participating. Yeah, referrals, sync leads. Okay.
Awesome.
All right, good. Thank you.
did you want to talk through this lead
Yeah.
gen?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously these were, you've seen these in bold, likely if you've been into bold, and this is kind of like, you know, that time on task over time kind of thing. So why you want to work your database, you know, this is kind of, it's not, I scanned it to Brooke, my fault, in black and white. So it looks a little bit cruddy on the, on the graph itself. But, you know, you can see, you know, an agent begins their first year in sales and closes 9 deals. They grow their business by 10%. They only obtain 17% repeat from their past clients, and they net 1 referral for every 10 of their past clients. So if you go down to the bottom chart, it talks a lot about how many would use, the 72% would use the same agent again. So by doing that time on task over time, you'll see that if you systematically stay in touch with your past clients, you'll double your rate of referrals for every 10 past clients in their database. Again, we'll share this chart with you. It is something in bold. But the point here is while 72% of buyers and sellers of the past would use the same agent again, we're not seeing them actually use the same agent again, right? And why is that? Because agents aren't staying in contact with their past clients. They're not. And so your opportunity is to stay in touch with your database and your past clients, and you see kind of that hockey stick effect. All right.
And you can relay that to everything. So the consistency and persistency in everything you do, even internet leads and your follow-up. Internet leads is a follow-up game. That's all you're doing to convert the business. The more you do it and the more consistent you are with it, the higher likelihood you are to convert.
Right. And most of us strive to have a repeat referral business at some juncture. You know, calling sync leads and internet leads and all of that is certainly icing on the cake should you choose to do so, yet they're the hardest to convert. Mm-hmm. Repeat and referral business is the ultimate pinnacle of a successful business.
Yep, exactly. So a little bit on profit first. This is like an entire day's training in and of itself, but we did want to just bring it to you as a high level review of what the intention of it is, and then also direct you guys to a self-assessment that you guys can complete if you wish to do so as well.
Right. So my message around here is a lot of what Gary's realized in the last year or two, or at least started to bring to the forefront, is it's great to be able to stand up here and Mike says, we did $1 million in GCI. Cool. I don't care, right? I really don't care. I don't care that Mike did $1 million in GCI. What I care about is, did he spend $999,099 so he worked his butt off for a year to make $1 profit? That's what I care about. I care about how much you bring home to your family. I care about how much you're able to put back into charity and organizations like that. The successful business model is not 80% expenses, 15% taxes, and 5% profit. It's not a successful model. So one of the directions we changed last year was implementing this profit first. And just to go really high level is you understand that, the way the old school was, it was, sales, your revenue minus expenses equaled your profit, for lack of better terms, right? That's the CPA's world. We just flipped the script now to go, look, revenue minus your profit. So your profit comes out first. You pick your profit target. Is it 5% of every deal? Is it 10% of every deal? You pick it, right? And that's what this assessment will help you pick it based on everybody's making different levels of income on a monthly basis. So you can certainly go through that tool. Yep. The point of that is it breaks you out into 5 or 6 buckets for you to really be profitable. And we went from a business last year of about $60,000 in debt to having about 1 year of business reserves in place and we didn't know this environment was coming. So this has nothing to do with preparation for COVID. We had no clue. We just shifted strategy according to what the successful people do, which is Gary. And Gary started really pushing profit first down from an educational standpoint. So these were things that you can break up is, right, what's your revenue? What's the profit? You want to pay yourself a salary. You got to take out taxes. And then in the end, what's your operating expenses? If you get down to your operating expenses and you don't have any money left, well, guess what? You don't get to pay your bills because you should pay yourself first. That's the mentality of this. You better find ways to chop your expense in your budget because unfortunately the way it happened in the past was let's pay all our bills first. We overspent this month. No big deal. I'll just take less profit. Well, you do that enough times and all of a sudden at the end of the year, you don't have the profit you thought you had. So you want to take your profit first out of there. And then what really trains you is, dang, I'm short on expenses this month. I better figure out what I'm going to do to chop some expenses. Hopefully that kind of makes sense.
And let me just reiterate the statement where he said you should be paying yourself a salary. Most agents are not paying their salary. They're just putting their commission check into their bank account and living by their bank account instead of by their salary. So even Mike, who runs the team and expansion teams and everything, is set himself on a salary, has set his wife on a salary. So they have the ability to keep that savings and things like that too.
Yeah.
So if you aren't paying yourself a salary, I'd highly advise you to do so.
Yeah. And how do you pick the salary? And we can have those discussions later, like what am I worth and how much should I take and all that. But you're right. Most agents live on a bank account of balance. They look at their bank account and they go, cool, I'm doing well. I have $40,000 in my bank account.
Yeah.
Okay. How much does the business have? Well, it has 40,000. Okay. Is it you that has 40,000 or your business that has 40,000? I'm confused because your personal business finances should be separate from your business finances. So I'm blessed. I'm thankful I'm able to have like 4 or 5 months of personal reserves that's separate from my business reserves. I have a profit bucket in there. The profit never gets touched. That's my money, honestly, as a business. I get to do what I want with that money. And I'm not probably dumping it back into the business. I'm going to dump it into future investments. I'm going to buy other businesses. I'm going to invest in other real estate properties. That's where my profit goes.
And doing something like this is leading by example. So if you want to build the team and bring agents on your team, you should be coaching your team, the agents on your team to do this as well. And also have a transparency in the books of your business with your teammates and partners so that they understand what their money that they're paying splits into is going towards. It's not just going in your pocket. You're paying yourself a salary, but you're investing in other things and bringing more opportunities into the business as a whole.
Yeah, and that's a great point. It's not like as a rainmaker, I'm taking all the splits and going out and buying Mercedes and all that stuff, because then my agents will be like, well, that's crazy. Why am I with this team? I want to dump that money. Yeah, I'm going to take a piece of the profit because I feel like I'm the one putting financial risk out there. So I'm going to take a little profit. Don't get me wrong. However, I'm going to reinvest a lot of that money back into the business for new opportunities for our agents to be successful.
Talk about retention right there. So,
and that ties
way to do it.
Yeah, ties back to that someday goal. When I sit with any agent, I can show them I'm not as good as Lance Logan. I don't have a 25-year. However, I've got a vision of, hey, these are all the opportunities we could grow into this organization. And it's not just necessarily an agent role. There may be property management opportunities, right? So think big is what I'm saying, and tie it together with your finances. Read the MREI, which is Gary's book on investing, and all of this stuff will come together for you at some point. It'll all match and fit, and it'll make a lot of sense.
Exactly. Cool. So I am not going to get too much into great detail on the exact way we go about our lead gen and our systems that we use. If you guys want to go in more depth in the Q&A on some of these things, we would be happy to do so. Basically, we're just trying to get across that the point is your entire job is to eat, breathe, live, and die lead generating. That is your one thing. That is your 20%, whether you're an independent or on a team. That is what you do every day. You're going to go extreme, pick 3, and do those 3 at 100+%. If you're picking 10, there's no way you can do each one at 100%. Therefore, they're not going to be as effective and have the ROI that you're hoping for. You always want to run your open houses at a 7th level, not just putting one sign in the yard. Now, I know that I can share with you guys a virtual open house plan that we have as well from the pivot. So I'll be happy to share that with the package of information that we send over to Anna. And then knowing how you're touching the people in your database, not just saying, hey, cool, I'm going to give them a call this week. I'm going to send them a flyer next week. Have it on paper. Have something tangible that you can go back on. This is important to, one, make sure that the tasks are being completed for each lead gen source that you're choosing. And also at the end of the year, you're able to go see what that ROI was for that lead gen source. And knowing exactly what you did in order to hit that goal and what you can do the following year and year over year forever to increase that conversion on each system that you're working. For our team specifically, we do run a 75 touch plan instead of a 36 touch plan. So we just do that on steroids. And then social media, we are huge for social media. This is how Mike started his entire business, was social media and those tactics around it. So we coach our agents. They should be posting at least 3, 4, 5 times every single day. One of those posts should be a video, 1+, just minimum 1. They should be utilizing their Facebook stories, because that's emerging. Social media is huge to touch a mass amount of people. So figuring out a strategy around that could be one of the 3 top lead sources for you, separate from your database. And then business to business strategy. This is something that we've always done. We have a large business to business program that we offer. And during this time with COVID-19, I think that is more valuable than probably any of our other lead gen sources outside of database. That one is massive right now because you can touch social media with that B2B. You can touch the local communities with that business to business. You can provide value to your database by sending them a flyer on this business to business relationship, so on and so forth. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about that, we'll kind of save that for the end and you guys can ask about it if you want. And then we just have internet leads through Commission Link as well. And then moving on more into the organizational model within the MREA, Mike's probably going to take on a little bit more of this portion of the training and just going through the levels. We won't go through all 7 levels. We'll probably take it, I think, through the 5th level, part 2, and then stop there, just with the audience that we have right now.
Yeah. So let me just ask real quick in the chat, those that are interested in, what would you like to know more about, the lead gen systems or the breakdown of the teams and growing a team or hiring that first leverage? So maybe put in your chat, lead gen or building a team or making my first hire or whatever you want to put in there.
Leverage or something.
Yeah, leverage. I want to make sure we're maximizing everybody that's on the call because obviously a first-year agent may or may not be, not want to have a limiting belief, may not be ready for a TC. Yet I want to make sure everybody, I mean, I know lead gen's always the hot, fancy topic on how to do more lead gen for sure. So, yeah. And we'll still touch on this. I just want to make sure we spend the right amount of time based on what the audience wants to do. I'm not going to just skip over this piece because there may be somebody on here that wants to know a little bit more about leverage. So, and I think
everyone is saying lead gen.
Okay.
And then just a couple other ones. So Amy and Adrian will touch on those when we go to Q&A. If we don't touch them on them for lead gen as well. So okay. Just hang tight, but we'll follow back up on that.
Cool. So let's say it's what's that?
12:05.
12:05. So we want to say, so we got about 25 minutes, let's say, and then we can do Q&A as well. And if we get done early, we get done early. So I think maybe we spend 15 minutes on lead gen or 20 minutes, and then maybe 10, 15 minutes on the system or the leverage piece of it.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Cool. So if you guys want to put anything specific on your lead gen systems in the chat, that would be great. I'm going to go ahead and just start with the business to business because that, like I said before, I think has the most weight outside of database for everything that's going on right now. So just give me 1 second to exit this.
Oh, while she's kind of talking through that, again, the way we do it, some of it's brand. I mean, again, here's one of my biggest takeaways in this is we as agents too many times are the secret agent. We don't get out there and tell people enough that we are a real estate agent. We just come to work every day and we assume everybody knows we're a real estate agent. I'm here to tell you that's not true. They don't always know that you're a real estate agent. So you've got to get it out there. Now, we're obviously in a different environment right now where Mike's not out there telling his agents to ask everybody, where's the business and can you give me business? This isn't necessarily the time for that. As you've heard through many seminars, it's more about how can we come from help? How can we come from assistance? That type of stuff. And so as a business to business owner, that's absolutely what we're doing. We're helping them get their brand and their message out there, and we're coming from contribution more than we're coming from give us business.
Yep. So we have something for our agents to use, and I apologize. Let me just go into this because I don't have it specifically for this training here. But it's the best practices around the business to business. So I will go through that first.
Did somebody say something about systems? Do you see all Brooke's folders?
Folder freak.
Those are systems.
Yes. So the B2B procedure, so who you want to target, what you want to do for the follow-up, what it is all in here. And these are just for our agents to kind of use as a base. So for this, just B2B is a great way to have a win-win situation. So who to target, you don't want to be targeting real estate professionals. If you think of your preferred lender and your preferred title company, how many other agents do they know? Hundreds is the answer. They're most likely not going to be a huge piece of referral business for you unless it's like a family member or your best friend or something like that where you have an outside relationship with them. You want to target like oddball businesses, dog walkers, barbers. I think yesterday I had posted a business to business video with someone that works for Mary Kay. We've done ones with insurance providers just because of what's going on right now in the world with COVID. So if you can somehow spin a real estate professional into more not trying to get a referral from that business partner, but more trying to advertise via social media as that community expert, I think during this time, that's fine. And then what and how to advertise. So when I'll go over the agreement that's referred to here, but we do get an agreement signed so that all parties know what we're committing to each other. We're committing a video creation and editing and advertised through Facebook ads and agents' personal pages, a flyer creation sent to an entire 11,000 plus database living in the local community. And then we add them to our contact information, to our vendor sheet that actually gets sent out quarterly on our 75 touch plan. So say you have a business partner that you really want to advertise and their wife or their husband or whoever is a real estate agent as well, you're most likely not going to get those referrals. I would expect that you don't. So we do allow them to do sponsorships. So if our business partner wants to help and sponsor an event for our client events and have time and a platform to speak during that event, that's totally fine too. What should you do as the agent? For our team specifically, we do ask that the agents follow up with their business partners quarterly. So they're treating their business partners just like somebody in their database or their sphere of influence. So they're doing quarterly calls. They're directly asking for the referral, sending biannual handwritten cards, checking in with the business partner. If they want to do the business to business program at 100%, and choose it as one of their top 3 lead sources, we do say that they should be shooting for at least 2 new business partner relationships per month. That way they at least have 24 each year that they're shooting for, because we all know that there's a conversion rate to everything. Not all 24 are going to give you a referral that year. And then just reassessing that business partner relationships and the effectiveness of it every quarter. And then creating and adding that business partner to a friends list in Facebook. So if they want to target their business partners for something, they already have a friends list created in their Facebook account. And then as far as
what I like about take a breath, so I figured I'd jump in. What I like about this is you can see it's systematized, right? A lot of agents have all the knowledge up here, yet they can't always remember, hey, what did I do last time? How should I do it differently this time, right? I'm going to encourage you to document anytime you come up and roll out a new program, a new process, a new effort, document it, because it's a lot easier to go back and make tweaks to it than it is to go like, dang, I kind of wish I would have remembered how I did that last time, right? And then as you hire on EAs and TCs and things like that, they become the ones that can help you document these things. Yep. It's a lot easier to document a little at a time, like Brooke was saying earlier, than it is like, I want to hire my first EA. oh, cool, I have 3 years of knowledge in my head and I have no time to put it on paper because I'm doing 45 deals right now, right? So it's just working smarter in the beginning.
Yep. So Mike didn't create any of this. He created the material needed to hire me so that I could create all of this. So you as agents out there, that's the mentality and the standpoint you should be taking. You shouldn't be the one creating all of this stuff. You should hire leverage to create this so that you can go out and prospect for more business to increase your business year over year and pay for that leverage that you're hiring on.
Right, which then comes back to your business finances, your P&Ls, your profit first. You can't go hire somebody if you don't have any money, right? I don't care how much production you do. If you don't have enough to pay somebody, I take very seriously the hires that I have, that I take the responsibility that my business needs to be able to give them a paycheck every week. You have never not been paid, right? Agents will never not get, or I should say staff will never not get paid in my organization because it's my job to make sure that we run a profitable business so they have security in having a job here as long as they perform, obviously.
Yep. Agents will come and go. If you have the right talent and the staff and the positions they need to be in, those are your culture setters. They're not going to leave and go anywhere. So those are the people that you want to focus on. Yes, the agents are important because you need to have that income from the agents, but agent world, as we all know, has a higher turnover rate and they come and go. So continuing to recruit into the team while keeping your staff the same is important. So I know that we squirreled a little bit. Mike likes shiny objects, so sorry about that. Going back.
In like an hour and 20
I know,
minutes.
you're doing so good.
I didn't even get any credit for that at all. You just jumped right in for the dagger.
So business to business. So this is a packet that we bring on a business to business appointment that an agent has with that business relationship that they've identified and set that appointment with. So we want them to know who we are. We want them to know that we are a credible team in the community. So by them trusting us to advertise their business and keep our word, we just want to provide them with some evidence-based examples of what we've done in the past and our credibility in the community. So just a little bit about us, our success in real estate, so they know that we're going to actually send them referrals, add them to our vendor sheet. They're actually going to get calls from clients, things like that. So we're just adding all of that into this document here, more for the credibility aspect. This section is just a quick highlighter of the program and what we offer. So the consultation on how we grow their business, the video creation and editing, an ad ran on Facebook targeting specific demographics, a Facebook post that's shared to thousands of friends via the business page and agents' personal pages. We'll even call their complete list of past clients just to check in if they want us to. We'll email our 11,000 plus person database sphere and website leads with their information. So again, if you're doing business to business, it's great because that can be relayed into your touch plan, your 36, your 75 touch plan. So every month in our touch plan, we have a business to business highlight. So we're not recreating the wheel here. We're using the same flyer for 2 different systems. And then we'll add them to our preferred vendor list that is presented to their clients. And then we will refer them business as necessary. Oh, our mission vision looks very similar to Kelly's.
I call that rip off and duplicate, although we didn't rip off from you that time. So
R&D is my favorite.
We probably both ripped off and duplicated from the same person.
Yeah.
That's exactly
thinking. Yeah. Then Kenny, yep. And then that win-win covenant I mentioned in the B2B procedure document. This is just the contract that we have the business-to-business partner sign. This is not a binding contract by any means. It's just that mental perspective of actually signing something and committing to something is a lot more, and by signing it, it's a lot more powerful than just verbally committing to it. So again, we just kind of lay out our 5-star growth plan that we already reviewed. In exchange for our investment and commitment, we ask for a commitment in return. We would like you to take the proactive approach in securing Mike Nelson team at least 1 client that is in need of our real estate services that results in 1 closed transaction annually. So through the quality of our service and outcome of our experience, we will earn the right to become your top real estate resource. So just implementing some of that. And in this statement, if they were already connected with an agent, I would plug in the sponsorship for events as a secondary option too. Because remember, the flyer goes to your database, so you're touching that. The flyer and the video go onto Facebook, so you're touching that as well. So it's not just the business-to-business partner that you're focusing on. It's the larger picture. And then we just have like a 2-page questionnaire for them to fill out. This is more or less because the agent's the one not doing the marketing. The agent sets the appointment, and then the administrative team is the one that executes the program and the marketing material for the agent. So we need the tools in order to do our job, and the agent has those tools. So this questionnaire is how they provide us with the tools to do our job, and just answering those. And then we just create a little 1-sheeter flyer and send it to the database through MailChimp is what we use specifically. Okay, I'm gonna let you just go through the chats, Mike. I see them pop up, so.
Yeah, not too many. It was mostly Ben
Just
Kinney, obviously has a similar, or he's the one that also created that, the vision, mission and values. So we obviously were at one of his seminars, I think a couple of years ago up in Spokane, and I said, hey, that's a great one. I think we'll use it. So again, it goes back to success leaves clues, who you surround yourself with matters, right? All of those type of things. So I'm a big believer in that, definitely. Utilizing and leveraging when appropriately, obviously, cross-sharing information, shall we say. So.
I would say one of the most important things to ask your business partner is if they have something to promote, or a coupon, or some sort of discount they can offer. Even if they don't, we want to ask them if they can, or if they'd be willing to, because that's going to increase the engagement if you see the word free, or you see the word coupon, or you see the word discount on social media, or in your database as the subject line of the email you're sending. So that's a huge attention grabber, and that's something that we have high focus on, trying to get across and get that partner to focus on.
And so what we are a big believer from a team, and a lot of teams are, is upholding standards. I think, you know, people sometimes, they obviously get in this business to be their own bosses for the freedom and the flexibility. And I think that's great and that's admirable. However, sometimes we're not always our best own bosses. So we kind of implement standards, and you should obviously implement standards in your life, whether that's a single agent or you're on a team or whatever. And Brooke mentioned that a couple of times, like, hey, you have to at least do 2 business-to-business videos per month, or we're not really going to uphold our end on the team, which is sending out to the database and things like that, because we know it's not effective. If you do 1 business-to-business per year, it doesn't work. Right? So we're going to kind of try to corral you into a successful environment that says, if you do the things you're supposed to do, success will happen. So therefore, we're going to hold you to a standard of everything that we do has kind of a standard that says, if you'll do this, you'll be successful. If you don't, you won't likely be, and we're not going to likely want to put the money towards stamps and things like that just to do a once a year business to business, as an example.
Awesome. So I do have like an example of a business to business highlight. We did one for a DJ. So I just created this flyer for the DJ and sent it out to the database. So there's just a quick example. And literally all of this came from his website. So as long as you're given the website, you can literally copy and paste the About Me section, throw it in a pretty flyer and send it quick. So that's a good option.
And the beauty of Canva is it's just basically copy and paste, right? So you create one flyer or maybe 2 or 3 different versions, and then you just keep repeating those. Is that correct?
Yep. So I have the templates for our entire 75 touch plan and the business to business highlight. I already have the templates done. I'm just going in and plug and playing with the information each month. So the efficiency level has increased dramatically through that. And then I know that somebody said open houses. For that person, would you be willing to take yourself off mute and let me know, are you hosting virtual open houses right now?
Hi, that was me. Actually, I'm not. I moved states, so I don't have my license in the new state yet. So
okay.
I'm not currently selling real estate. That's how I got like 90% of my business in my other market.
And did you run those at a 7th level?
No, definitely not. How I did it is I just really focused on the people that I was talking to in the open house. So I asked them essentially how they heard about the open house. And typically if they heard about the open house from Zillow or somewhere else, I knew that they were unrepresented, and I took care of everyone, but I really focused in on those people and taking care of them. And
most definitely.
Well.
Awesome. Did you host open houses for your own listings, or did you find agents in the community to host for?
I worked mainly with first-time home buyers and millennials. So I was mostly doing other people's listings.
Awesome. So that's perfect, because that is how our team hosts open houses. We do have listings, but we don't always have enough listings for the amount of open house requests that we get from the agents across our network. So an awesome way that we go about doing open houses is, you'll see my more documentation as well. But we have, aside from just the documentation on how an agent should schedule an open house, I myself, for our team, actually schedule open houses for the agents, and this is the exact process on how I do that. So once the agent sends their request, I'm going into either IRES or RE Colorado or Pikes Peak, whichever location is requesting that open house, and I'm going into, let me go to this one. I'm going into the MLS and searching for their specific criteria. So if we're in Northern Colorado, we advise that our agents host open houses anywhere from 350,000 to 650,000, because that has the highest target population for buyers in our area. So that's something that you want to identify in the Denver market, which is probably going to be pretty similar to Northern Colorado. It's just when you get down to Colorado Springs, we decrease that to like 250 as the starting point for price point. Because we know that's where we're going to get the highest amount of traffic. We're going to get lower traffic on $1 million listing. We're not trying to sell the listing. We're just trying to get some buyers out of it. If we sell the listing, that's cool. So highest amount of traffic, I am sending an email to all of the agents that meet the criteria, asking them if an agent on our team can host the open house. The email is the most efficient way for the admin staff to do it. If the agents are doing it, I would advise that you call to reach out and schedule that open house. But this whole documentation was created in order to help the agent run that 7th level open house. So best practices, preparation. So what should you do to prepare for the open house? Pulling additional homes for sale in the area, additional open houses in the immediate area, getting the school district information, HOA fees, things like that. We're asking them to have an open house hosting kit where they have flyers for their lender partner, MLS data, feedback sheets, business cards, Keller Mortgage signage, swag if they want, those sorts of things. They're going to drive the neighborhood a day prior to determine ideal sign placement. They should Google map where they want the signs if they don't want to go to the property first. 10 to 15 open house signs minimum, 2 of which being sandwich boards in the front yard. We also have found through trial and error, putting an open house sign in the yard next to the listing yard sign 3 days prior to the open house has increased traffic a lot. So if you're not doing that right now, if you take one thing from this and you're doing open houses, put an open house sign in the yard 3 days prior to it, and that will automatically increase your traffic.
Yeah, and technically on that too, we usually use the dry erase kind of tape to put on there, and we'll actually, so that way we can reuse the signs, and we'll just put an open house out 3 days before, and we'll say open house Wednesday or whatever, Saturday, 8 to 10 or whatever, it's stupid, 12 to 2. And so on and so forth. So that's an effective thing. Now, again, make no mistake about it, we can't do open houses now, so I need to cover my bases there as far as in person, so nobody walks away going, Anna. So, no, that's it. However, in a normal environment, that's absolutely what we do. So.
Yep. And then you're door knocking the neighborhood before the open house, 10 to the left, 10 to the right, 10 to the front, minimum. And we give them a little script to use. So you knock on the door and you just say, I'm not sure if you're aware, but a few of your neighbors have asked me for a home evaluation. Would you like me to do that for you? This is the most important part. A few of your neighbors. that drums up the popularity factor. Adding that into the script has done wonders. You don't just get the door shut on you, you actually have the ability to have that conversation and nurture that person. Leaving a flyer, and then just a quick timeline for all of the agents, what they should be doing during the open house, and some scripts around that. So building a rapport, knowing what they are on the disc profile. You should be able to tell what they are on the disc profile just by shaking their hand. These days, you don't want to be shaking hands, but there's other ways to do it as well. And then just what you should be doing for the follow-up. So calling them, mailing them, inputting them into whatever follow-up platform that you have, like Command, and then adding them to Facebook, creating that friends list and that engagement for all of your open house leads. And then sending an email or calling the listing agent to provide detailed feedback on how the open house went. If you're going to go about scheduling open houses and requesting open houses like this, it is extremely essential to build those agent relationships with the listing agents that you're hosting for. Because same thing with your database, business starts coming to you, and opportunities keep coming to you the more that your name is around and the more professional you appear to be. So these days I have listing agents in the community with listings just coming to me and asking if our agents can host them for them, because we've built that relationship over two and a half years doing that. And then as far as the virtual open house, and I'll send this to Anna as well, if I can find it. Hang on, I have it in here.
We have it. It's out there on the Pivot website too, so we can just send you if you got it. Okay.
It's just this real quick one, so I can send that out to everyone as well. It's just a step-by-step on what you should do, and for lead capture as well, so it might be helpful. Let's see, I can review our 75 touch plan quick because I know what else was on here. For lead gen, I know that there was social media, database, door knocking, expireds, and FSBOs, so cool. So I'll touch on our 75 touch plan quick, just some strategy behind it, and this can be relayed to a 36 touch plan. Whatever you create, make it repeatable for the efficiency of time, especially if you're doing like a 75 touch plan like we have. So every single month we're doing a market update video. So that's 12 touches. Every single month we're doing a community update mailer. That template's already created in Canva. So I'm literally just plugging and playing the information, exporting it, and sending it. Every single month we even have Facebook blitz likes and comments. So we're going through everybody's Facebook and looking at these and liking their posts, commenting. We're doing a quarterly call every quarter. We're doing pop buys every quarter. We're doing a seasonal maintenance checklist every quarter. We're doing handwritten notes every quarter. So you can see the consistency. We're not just doing 75 different things. We want to make it consistent so that our database also knows what they're expecting. So I think like 3 months ago, I think it was at the new year, we had sent a community update mailer out, and one of our agents, sphere of influence, called them the follow like right after that, and was like, I said something about I can't wait for the next month's edition of what's happening in February for Valentine's Day and things like that. So they're expecting it. It's an expectation of theirs that they're to receive that item every month in their email.
So you have a couple questions. Are you using smart plans in Command?
Great question. So for our 75 touch plan specifically, no, I am not. I will tell you that if you are an independent agent, I would advise that you use smart plans in Command to run your touch plans. If you are on a team, there's certain things that you can and cannot do with Command yet, and expansion gets even more muddy. So we are an expansion team, so unfortunately, running the 75 touch plan out of Command right now is going to decrease our efficiency levels and probably cause a little bit more confusion. But if you're an independent agent, I would highly, highly advise that you get that into Command, because I wish that we could. Command will work great for the independent agent, and then the teams, and then the expansion teams. So right now we are not. And then where are you time blocking these items? So on the 75 touch plan specifically is what I'm guessing you're referring to. you'll see, and I'm sorry, it's a little blurry, but I can try and make it better. Hang on one second. So you'll see on here that who's doing what and when it needs completed. So I'm recently starting to move into the, just because we can't put it on a smart plan and assign tasks on a certain deadline and things like that, I'm moving more to each week. I'm posting in our internal communication platform to our agents on the team exactly what they need to do that week in reference to the 75 touch plan. But each agent, if you don't have an admin staff kind of doing a lot of these things, our staff is doing the majority of these things outside of the quarterly call and liking and commenting things on Facebook, and delivering Popeyes. Everything else is done by the team. So really, if you have it in a smart plan in command, it should be assigning those tasks for you. And then maybe just once a week on your calendar, you could always just put in there 75 touch prep or prep and execution for an hour, just in your schedule during the week on a slow or off
put it
day.
in that afternoon schedule, or put it into like even after the follow-up schedule, just put it in like after lunch. Business services was a category that we had in the perfect plan, so you could put that in your business services type thing. So
exactly. And we have it detailed out, so the agents know that the first week of the month or the beginning of the month they need to do a market update video. The first week of the month, I'm sending out the community update mailer. The third week of the month in February, I'm sending a DIY idea or the home sold data or the spring maintenance checklist. So you want to build, when I said earlier in regards to this, you want to build what you're doing on the front end so you can make sure you're hitting all of those metrics and you're hitting all of those tasks in order to do that lead gen source at 100%. So if I didn't have this on a piece of paper, I would have no freaking clue what I needed to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I would have no idea. The agents would have no idea either. So putting it on paper, and I revisit this every year. So this is not the same touch plan we had in 2019. So really documenting all of that stuff in November, December, so that you know exactly what you have to do for the rest of the year. And either putting that in a smart plan if you can, if it works for you that way, or at least putting it on your calendar, refer to 75 touch plan or 36 touch plan to execute. That way you're at least revisiting it on a weekly basis. And that's what I do. The platform that we use for internal communication is called Workplace. It's actually Facebook compatible. It is absolutely amazing. I think Amy, you might have been the one that was, were you an executive assistant? Amy Bell, yep. So you should look into that. And if you want to, I'll put my information on the slide at the end of the call, and feel free to just email me and I can send you a link and stuff and tell you a little bit more about it. But it's super cool. You can create little like Facebook groups and things like that in there. But it's just through Workplace. Like our team does not text each other. We don't Facebook message each other. We do none of that. It is all through an internal communication platform so that we can keep the organization of it all.
Cool. So let's jump back into the rest of the slide, if you don't mind, the presentation, and then let's take any Q&As. And I know there was some existing ones in there about what is the team's value, 3 values, and some things like that that we certainly can come back to. Yeah, let's kind of complete anything else in the presentation, if you don't mind, and then that way we can do that.
Awesome. Amy knows what Workplace is.
All right, so we're gonna probably skip through this piece of it. I mean, somebody please, I don't want to offend anybody. So if you want to know more about leverage, please raise your hand and I'd be happy to go through that. However, if nobody's interested, I don't want to bore you guys either, so.
I would say the biggest takeaway from leverage is to hire an admin first, not an agent first.
So maybe we'll just go through the first 3 levels really quick, and we won't spend a ton of time because maybe there are some people that would like to know that. So generally, obviously, the first level is just you. The second level is you and an admin. Again, that's why you want that admin in place. However, the $1 million question always is when? When do I hire an admin? Well, number one, when can you afford it? I don't care about number of units. Like some people say 35, 50 units, whatever. I don't care if you don't have any money. I don't care how many units you do, you can't hire them. So figure out what you want to pay them. Figure out, do you have 3 months of reserves to be able to pay their salary is what I like to do. In case times get tough, I can still pay them, right? Yet really what I normally find, and again, you'll hear different things from Gene Rivers and others. So for me, it's, I would say around 35 units, ideally 30 to 35 units, because you should still be able to, the question you have to ask yourself is, when does this affect your lead gen? If everything else you're doing running transactions affecting your ability to lead gen, that's the time. Is that 20 units? Is that 50 units? Is that 28 units? I don't know, right? I personally, I'm just being honest with you. It's when it starts affecting your lead gen time, because that's your job as a rainmaker. You will never, ever, ever, ever get out of lead gen. It just may look in different capacities. You may be doing different things in your lead gen strategy compared to the agent that just joined your team. All right, so that's kind of that question. And then really where you want to look at adding the level 3 is really more along the lines of about 50 units, which is now adding that transaction coordinator. So again, your lead admin's there to help you document your systems, your processes, help you maybe even do, like when Brooke came on, she took over for my wife, but I did have my wife do both, transaction coordinator and lead admin. But eventually she wanted to punch me in the face because I was giving her too much work. So I said, well, this is better. My safe move would probably be to hire somebody. So then I hired Payne in the, you know what, number 2 in Brooke. So then she took over the TC work and my wife focused on the EA. And then once we kind of got that put into place, we were able to move Brooke up to a DOO and then hire another TC. And then my wife just does bookkeeping now. So again, somewhere around, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, for the most part, when you're making those hires on the initial to build your team, you're gonna hire hybrid roles. So he is saying that I was promoted to be a director of operations. I was, but I still am a hybrid role. I'm never going to get out of that until we're like, Mike's out of the business and he's no longer the CEO of the business. At that point in time, we might still have like our individual job roles. But I'm still director of sales, expansion director, director of operations, all of those. So just know that you are going to have that hybrid. And it's honestly better that way because I know every piece of the business and I can easily just jump in where I need to. So that first admin should be able to do that for you as well.
Yeah, and the foot stomp here is, it's not a buyer's agent joining your team is not the first step in Gary's model. You don't go get a buyer's agent because honestly, it's not too hard to get an agent to join your team, if you will, as far as when you first start, because you might do business together. Yet, do you have the systems in place? Where's your value coming from when you're an agent joining another agent? You don't have an admin helping you out. You don't have a TC helping you out. I don't believe you bring any value to the table when you just put 2 agents together.
Yep.
Cool. And we'll just kind of skip through this. So obviously 4th level then is adding in the lead manager and the showing assistant. So you still see yourself as the rainmaker. You're still taking buyers out. You're still taking listings. Yet you've leveraged out other things. You're getting more leads. You're having more team admin duties being relieved, and somebody's actually driving your buyers out to the houses. So you're leveraging everything out except for the production piece. All right, I think we'll stop at that point. Because I don't want to bore everybody to tears. If you have more questions around that, certainly get a hold of me and I'd be happy to do that.
I know that there is one question from Christy, and I know that you sent it to me privately, but I think it's a good question to bring to the group. So thank you. But she is asking what the going rate for an admin is typically. That's going to be flexible. That's based on what you're willing to put forth. So when I was first hired, I will tell you guys, I was hired at like a $27,000 salary. I had no real estate experience. I was fresh out of college, not really like a professional career woman who was experienced. That wasn't me. So Mike was willing to invest the time and the money into my education and my training, and he paid me less because he was investing more time. If you're looking to hire someone that that has the experience and can just walk in and do it all for you, you're probably going to hire closer to that 35, 40K mark for someone to just come over and take over the business and you not have to really do much of the training or invest that money into third-party training for them. And then ultimately it has to be justified by your P&L. You can't just go say, hey, I'm going to hire this person at 40K a year because I want to and I need to. You need to make sure that your P&L supports that. and your budget supports that ultimately. But we did just hire a transaction coordinator with some real estate experience, more property management, and we hired her at $30,000 a year. Now with our team and our model, we're able to hire with a less amount of salary to start, because after 90 days of that probation, we're going to increase. And then after a year, we'll continue to increase. But there's so much growth within our team. I would never have, I had 3 job offers in the degree that I have when I moved to Colorado at $12 an hour. I didn't accept those because there was no growth. So I think it's about how you portray that vision to those people you're hiring as well. If they can suck it up for the first year, 2 years, 3 years with you and build this with you, that person's going to stay with you forever. And they know that they're going to have that trust back and forth in that relationship with you to continue that growth. And with growth becomes the growth in the position as well as the income. They come in tandem. So just know there's some flexibility in that and which route you want to take, experienced or inexperienced.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. So let's just kind of skip through. We will have some job descriptions that we have out there. You can find those also off the Leverage series in the MyKW Connect. There's a Leverage series. You can get a lot of job descriptions. You can get 30, 60, 90s. You can get a lot of information off that if you're not familiar with it. So let's go ahead and scroll through to the next slide.
Pretty much it. Just,
okay.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't promote a couple of things, and I'm not promoting for my own self-gain or benefit, yet no MAPS coaching is running a discount right now, and I can talk to you about some of that as well. I think we're now into the 1 month free if you sign up for 12, and I think there's also a $500 next month, and you just sign up for month to month kind of thing. So again, MAPS coaching is, again, successful people do what successful people do. Tell me an agent that's successful that probably doesn't have some type of coach, mentor, or something in their lives. And I'd be surprised if you don't find one that doesn't, whether it's a business coach, a PC coach. Again, it can come across the myriad of things, but I have 2 coaches. Anybody that's, I'm sure Anna has a leadership coach, right? So, yep, Brooke has a coach that we pay for. So again, I'm going to really foot stomp coaching. Kelly says coaching is huge. So again, I'm going to really advocate that. And if you do decide MAPS coaching is the right thing, please call me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And of course, I like the referral credit that I can get from KWRI, so they can tell me that I'm not totally being a slug and not helping grow their business. So cool. All right, that's all I want to touch on that. And then is there another slide?
That's pretty much it, other than just our contact information for you guys. And also just a shameless plug. We are in Northern Colorado and we are in Colorado Springs. You guys are obviously in Denver. We do have 2 expansion locations in Denver, but we would be happy to accept any referrals for Northern Colorado and Colorado Springs.
Yeah, ideally, we're trying to brand ourselves as the team to come to out of state for referrals. So I'm not to take away you guys' thunder in Denver by any means, because you wouldn't refer business to me down the road. However, if you have anything in Northern Colorado or Colorado Springs or Pueblo, we'd be more than happy to take care of your clients. And that's the value we hope to obtain, as well as get to know you guys a little bit more. So, and you know, we're obviously an expansion team and we're not here to recruit or do anything like that. So if you ever have any questions about anything, just let us know. That's what we want to be here, as a resource for you guys. We're really good about, Brooke's really good about making time in her schedule to be able to answer questions. I certainly do the best that I can as well. So let's go back to any other questions that were outstanding. I think one was maybe the top 3 things that a team, I don't know if that was specific to our team or if that was just.
Oh, yes. Let me go back to it. I think it was, what are the top 3 things that we get? I'm sorry, this thing is so finicky to scroll through. Whoever made that comment, do you want to just take yourself off mute?
They may have left. We've had like 4 or 5 jump off. So.
Okay.
So obviously for us in general, and most good teams, it's about leads, and it's not just leads. What's the quality of leads that you're going to get? A lot of it's about systems, and a lot of it's about, because again, when an agent were to look at joining our team as an example, and again, not all teams are the same. I don't want to portray that. Some are better than others, so on and so forth. what I find value in teams is you can leverage their finances. So there are good teams that are running successful are dumping in money to help you be successful that maybe you can't afford as a single agent. So the opportunities are greater for leads. The systems are huge. Like I know a Ben Kinney team, us and others are really defined systems, so where the agent can just jump right in. They don't have to go figure out and plug and play and figure all these things out. It's already built for them. Now, whether they follow it and they stick to the standards remains to be seen, but that's up to them to want to do that. And leverage, right? I think for us, Brooke and the admins take on about at least 50% of the buyer's agent work, so that that buyer's agent can refocus their time back on lead generating, versus a single agent might still need to do a lot of other tasks. We're able to offset that by Brooke picking those up. Now the agent can work on the higher dollar hour work, which is lead generation. Nobody wants to lick and stick 30 envelopes necessarily. While important, it could be that you could reinvest that time into lead generating and getting more business. Hopefully I made that kind of clear. So now we can leverage that to Brooke to go, hey, you do the licking and sticking if you don't mind, while we use our agents to go out and work on the, $400 hour per work. So it's all just one big team working in harmony.
Yep. And I did find that it was what is the top 3 ways you offer your team value? And I think you hit it on the nail. For the most part, just high level support, training, leads, and culture would probably just be for the quick, simple.
Yeah, for us, it's about growth opportunities. I don't know too many people that want to just do real estate sales for 30 years. They want to make residual income. They want to have other opportunities. And honestly, because Ben Kinney keeps popping in my head, Ben Kinney's a freaking massive thinker. I mean, that dude's out there going like, hey, maybe we'll open up our own security systems app and I'll partner with somebody on my team, right? Those are the worlds we think in. And it's not just real estate. It's like, cool, you want to go in on a VRBO with us? Let's go buy one in Arizona and we'll use it for the team anytime they want to take their family there to a VRBO, right? Just things like that we try to get creative with and partner with our agents. Hopefully I didn't beat that to death, but that's just some values that a team that I believe is well run can do.
Awesome.
What other questions do you find ladies and gentlemen have?
You guys don't have to do the chat. You can hop off of mute as well if you'd like.
Okay. If you like the presentation, let Anna know Mike did a good job. If you don't, tell him that you don't ever want Brooke to lead a presentation again.
Yes. I don't know why I've been here for 2.5 years, but I have. So.
Take the abuse.
You guys are awesome. I love your energy together. Clearly, you're a phenomenal team.
Culture.
Absolutely.
It's the biggest thing. Somebody mentioned that earlier too. It's the culture of your team and the people you surround yourself with relays to everything else. That's as simple as it gets. So
yeah, we're a big believer in work hard, play harder. That's just the reality. I know
I said that in my interview 2.5 years ago.
We have a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Awesome. Anna, we'll get you the slide doc presentation and then those supporting documents for you. Yes, Gwen, I will do that. So I'll send that off to you. And then if you want to spread the knowledge to everybody else, that'd be great.
Yeah, like I said, I rip off and duplicate. Feel free, rip off and duplicate from us, right? That's what it's all about. I mean, I won't do copyright infringement, and be careful of what I say. However, use your intelligence to rip off and duplicate, and don't come back and say Mike said this was okay. So cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you all. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for participating and hanging through this whole thing. I know it was kind of a long.
Thanks for having us.
So hopefully you got at least 1 or 2 nuggets out of it. So thanks, Anna, for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. It was so good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Stay warm up there.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.